All right, hey everybody, it's Scoots, Magoots. I'm going to test this water out at some point, and run through the preview for the week in Patreon. I also at the top want to talk about one of our sponsors, which realize the patrons don't always get the ads, but this is kind of beyond that. Like anybody watching this video, this is not only a company I'd love to sponsor the show, but it's something I've set up on my parents' computer, and that's Backblaze. Which I just want to take a second to explain what it is, because I literally had two hard drives crash last week, and they're not recoverable. And if it wasn't for online backup, the entire history of the podcast would be lost. Just a lot of big files. So basically Backblaze does is you just install it on your computer and it backs everything up. Like most importantly, your pictures, if you're a regular person, but if you are a musician or an artist, it can back up external drives that you plug into your computer, which is for me what crashed. Like external drives that I store the project files. Like I don't want to get into too much of how much work it is to make the podcast as far as like project files and waves that get converted into MP3s. But all that was stored on an external drive. One was like a backup of my regular computer, and then the other one was an external drive that I was storing stuff on. Those crashed, and not everything was backed up, unfortunately, because that was my choice. But all of the project files and the big wave files were. And it's just a sponsor. They've tested it before, and this is kind of a test ad to see how many people respond. And I don't think the ads do so well because it's so kind of hard to explain. But it is the most inexpensive peace of mind that you don't need. I don't know. Like I cannot encourage anybody, if you have a computer, like a desktop or a laptop of whatever age, it is so easy to do. You just go to backblaze.com/sleep so we can get credit for it. And that comes with a 15-day free trial to try it out. But it is like, it's like one of those things, like every friend and family member, I would encourage them to do it. And you're my friends, you're my listeners, like, please, like, even if they weren't a sponsor, like you have to back up your computers because hard drives crash. This one was a matter of the power went out. Hey, Crazy Pants. So I just have to strongly encourage you. The link is on the Patreon thing. I'll add it to the YouTube page, but backblaze.com/sleep. How it does it and all that, it just runs in the background and backs everything up to the cloud. And then in my case, I don't even, like, I'm not even worried. I was trying to manually fix my hard drive with a thing, but I'm like, oh, everything's backed up in the cloud, so I don't really have to panic. But please, backblaze.com/sleep. I think they're only going to run their test because, like, no, I've seen how many people have followed the link. So, but please, like, even if they don't end up sponsoring the show, backblaze.com/sleep. Go there and install it. Like, I don't know. I mean, it literally is saving my butt right now. And I think about family pictures. Even if you have them backed up in a service, I don't know. Just trust me on that one. And if you have any questions, I haven't got my hair cut, Crazy Pants. It just keeps growing. I did shave though. So that's backblaze.com/sleep, 15-day free trial. It boggled my mind the last couple of times. I mean, it always boggles my mind when sponsors, it doesn't work out. But this one, it will let you sleep better, literally. And I guess because you guys don't hear the sponsors, like, please, for yourself, just go to backblaze.com/sleep. I don't think we have enough, even if all the people watching this video sign up, I don't know if it would make an impact on them becoming a sponsor. Probably would. But for you that are listening or watching this video, that you might have pictures on your computer or even movies or whatever it is, like, just sign up for it, please. Okay. So let's go run through the preview because and then I have a couple questions I got by email I want to answer. If Crazy Pants or anybody else hops in the chat room, if you're on Patreon, you got to click through to YouTube to ask questions on the YouTube chat. I'm not sure if you can do that on mobile. Another thing, again, other than Backblaze, if you're watching this and you're a patron, please sign up for set up your RSS. It's going to make a huge difference in your listening. And in the Patreon post, I put videos, I put links to all the help articles. And it might seem difficult at first, but it will make all the difference. I've been doing the Patreon now for 2.5 years, and I know the impact that having the RSS set up has on the patrons, because I hear from the people that get to listen, and there's secret messages at the beginning of all the episodes. But I just know like how much better of an experience it is having a lot more to consume and all these different things I'm testing out on the Patreon. And we hit where I'm testing out these new goals, and those goals, like new monthly goals, maybe we're testing it out this month, which I'll talk about. So if you don't have your Patreon RSS set up, you will miss out on those rewards depending on what level you're at. And it's not really something me or Patreon have control over. It is something you as a listener have to set up because it has to be kept private. But it is very easy. Takes 2 minutes. Crazy Pants is saying right now they switched and they set it up. Like my brother just set it up, and I realize it might sound confusing, but just try to do it and then reach out to support.patreon.com if you can't get it set up, because even at any level that you're supporting the show at, you're just going to have more content to consume. Speaking of the content, this is what's coming out in Patreon feeds this week. Thanks for that segue, Scoots. So tonight was what episode came out tonight? I didn't write that one down. I think it's what is it? It's 5 o'clock now. Theme Park Review. I just listened to that one. So Theme Park Review came out. So that, if anybody's interested in the writing process of the show, or you want to sleep, they're really dense because I just talk about how I make the genesis of the idea for theme park and the genesis of the idea for the next Nuns in Space, and how I break episodes and write the episodes and stuff. So if you're interested in the process of the show, you could listen to it during the day, but I listened to it today, and it's pretty sleepy. So that came out tonight for $5 and up patrons, ad-free episode. Tomorrow night, Monday, $1 and up patrons get A Sleep to Strange, which is a story-only version of episode 649, Matter Matters. So that should be fun. Then Tuesday night, $5 and up patrons to get this new thing I'm testing. Instead of story-only episodes, I'm going to do story-only episodes on Monday. And then I'm just going to test this for a little while since the archives aren't up, is like supersized archive episodes. So at $5 and up on Tuesday night, episodes 270 to 275 are strung together in one 5 to 6 hour episode of just all those episodes back to back to back to back to back. Then Wednesday night, no, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, $5 and up patrons get the ad-free version of The Good Place, episodes 3 and 4. That's episode 674. Thursday night, $10 and up patrons get another supersized archive, episodes 276 through 278, 281, 286, and 287. And then Friday night, the same level, get episodes 279, 280, 282, 283, and 285. And those are just broken up in that way because the Friday night episodes are like on location. So I just wanted to put those together. Also, at some point this month's notification sounds will come out at the end of the month. I just haven't edited those. I might edit those tonight. And then the new goal. This was we talked about it last week. I'm going to test this actually live on the air now. So this is a new Trader Joe, or not Trader Joe's, Safeway version of, what is that called? LaCroix. And this is pineapple coconut. And it not tasting very much pineapple. It's pretty good. It's refreshing for sure. It's 3.5 cents an ounce, which is a little bit pricey, in my opinion. Trader Joe's has, last summer, they had a coconut, which is called Island Colada, and they have a separate pineapple in the liter bottles. And if you mix those together, it tastes better than this. But it's not in a can, so it's not quite as cold. So that's my review. Soleil. Soleil. LaCroix. Soleil. Okay, so Soleil. That's the way. Wait. Oh, Soleil. What did I say? Oh, I said Safeway because Safeway is the brand though, the supermarket. They don't have their branding on here anywhere though. But Soleil. Wah 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 wah. Okay, so I went through. Oh, so the new goal. So we already hit it, which means that patrons. Let me read the goal because I actually don't know. This is live podcasting here. What was the goal? The goal was loading now. We're going to do a Fearless Flyer episode. I'm going to live stream the recording. And let's see. $5 and up patrons will get to watch the live stream. And $10 and up patrons will get it in their feed a couple weeks after. And it'll become a free post after 10 days. So anybody that, if you can't become a patron because of issues that like financial issues, you can still watch it free after 10 days only on the Patreon page. If we hit the next goal, which is actually only 28 more patrons, then the live stream will go out to everybody. And this is a goal I'm going to try kind of moving forward. Is like when we can, because like either do the Fearless Flyer ones or ambient shows when we hit patron goals, because I want to explain, I guess, a little bit of the Trader Joe's thing, because I got a message from somebody and I feel like it's not, maybe I'm not communicating clearly but I don't have any like bad blood with Trader Joe's. I still shop there all the time. And I'm just pulling the Trader Joe's themed things from the podcast because Sleep With Me needs more sponsors to keep the archives free, or even to really flourish and stay sustainable. And one of the ways we've looked at bringing on sponsors is doing sponsored content, either where a company buys it and I do a podcast for them and they do whatever they want with it, or they sponsor an entire show, or they become a part of the show, like Casper or Brooklyn, and or hopefully if people support HelloFresh or Backblaze, they become like a regular sponsor. And like I thought we would be able to get enough massive. We have so many listeners. Like I thought we'd be able to get a movement that would like appeal to Trader Joe's from a PR perspective, but that just didn't work. Like their financial, like they were doing their corporate podcast, their internal podcasts, and that's fine. But I also have to find a way, if we don't have sponsors, to massively grow to have the Patreon outpace the growth of the show. If the podcast is growing like this and the Patreon's always growing like this, I don't know. Like, so that's the main reason why I'm not going to do the Fearless Flyers or include Trader Joe's, is more like, okay, if we did enough free advertising for them, and if I can do it as a Patreon perk, the show and all the free listeners will actually be benefiting, even though the patrons are only getting that content. And the same thing with the ambient episodes. Like, we're just not at a point where I can responsibly do the ambient episodes because they're much more expensive to make and much more time consuming on the public feed. But like that might be something that becomes a Patreon goal, like another Patreon perk. Like I don't have a way this is just something I'm testing out monthly, I guess is my thing. But I also wanted to say, like, I don't have anything against Trader Joe's, and I'm totally cool. Like, I mean, I'm a little frustrated because I'm just always frustrated. Like, I know how much the podcast means to the listeners, and I know the relationship we have. So for me, sponsoring Sleep With Me is kind of a no-brainer. It's like all of these people rely on Sleep With Me to fall asleep, all of these good, hardworking people. I don't understand why any brand wouldn't be racing to align with the show, but I guess I've come to like realize like it's not that simple, like when it comes to advertising and stuff like that, especially on podcasts. So it's more like fun, but it's also like I really think if like 10% of our audience had reached out to Trader Joe's, like whatever regular, there's like so 15,000 people emailed Trader Joe's, or everyone in our listener Facebook group, which is like 5,000 people, Trader Joe's would have like responded in some fun way back. But like now I'm like at the moving forward stage. But yeah, I just wanted to clear that up because it's like I don't have any resentment or anything towards Trader Joe's. Like I'm just trying to do what I can within my control to keep the podcast sustainable and going forward. But the good news for patron supporters is that a Fearless Flyer will be out. And for people that aren't Patreon supporters, if you're patient, you'll be able to stream the video at least on our website. It will only go out to the RSS feeds depending on what goal we hit. And I mean, it's towards the end of the month, but if we hit that next goal, I probably would add another stretch goal. Excuse me. Oh boy, scoots. But so I guess that was just the long and short of it, but that's going to be another fun goal, like maybe a quarterly. So like 4 Fearless Flyers a year for the time being, or at least for this month. Let's just stick with this month. So probably next weekend or within the next, maybe next weekend, I'll be recording that episode, and then I'll try to get a rush edit on it. So maybe it'll take like 10 days to edit. It'll be a little bit different because I haven't recorded in front of a live Patreon audience in a while. But that's it. I don't know if anybody has any questions about any of that. That was a lot I threw at everybody. I just got back from the grocery store and had a cherry Coke, so that might be part of it. So I was going to answer another email question I got from Teresa about writing. If anybody has any questions out there, you have to click through to YouTube. Let's see. I will try to refresh here. And again, if you're watching this and you haven't set up your RSS feed, which I think is like literally less than 20% of patrons, you're just missing out on like extra value. Like the RSS, the digital rewards are the main way. I mean, I'm testing these videos out, but even these videos only get 100 watches or something. The digital rewards are the main way I can give you extra value for your support for the show. I mean, in reality, the patron exists like a value for value, like the community garden example I talked about last week, or maybe I didn't talk about it, but like there's a community garden that's like, hey, if you want some food, just take it from this community garden. That's kind of like a value for value thing, but hey, leave some money or donate some seeds or donate some time, so the Patreon exists on that same value for value. Is my on-site, I'm going to answer some questions now. But, set up your RSS feed. So Crazy Pants asks, is my on-site prep different from the Climbing Closet prep? Is there apple coconut cough drop for all? No, mainly because one of the nice things about ambient episodes, Crazy Pants, is that I love just saying that, is that having background noise eliminates a lot of the threats of mouth noises. Like even here, co-snoring, and I have the room noise, like the room tone that would interrupt a regular podcast. But like if this was the mic with the regular podcast, I'm like literally like up on the mic. I have it really loud so I can hear everything. Because even if my shirt scrapes on something, and so I'm like, wow, so it's a really sensitive environment. where if I'm recording on location, but here's the thing, I do have a baggie with cough drops in it, sunscreen, and Advil and Tylenol inside my bag that I keep like my go bag for on location recordings. There's a couple different setups I've used, but it just like each different setup adds more and more expense. Like the best setup I have is like I'll have a recorder, one recorder to record just ambient, one recorder recording ambient. That's a 4-track recorder. It'll be recording ambient out one end and then into a mic on the other end. But that like is really hard for the editor. And then sometimes I'll just have like just be recording straight into a mic, either through a external recorder or even into my phone. And then sometimes I'll have a recorder, a 4-track recorder recording one microphone track and then 2 ambient tracks. That's kind of like the most like compromised one. But even all those ones, it's really hard to edit because just the ambient shows take a lot of editing. And just if it's like an hour show, it usually takes me like 2.5 or 3 hours because I have to stop if there's planes or but I love making those. And I think adding it as a Patreon, possible testing it out for a Patreon thing would give me a lot more freedom. But yeah, I usually have water. Sometimes I'll have coconut water. Ideally, I have water because otherwise it'd be toast. And then the other issue with ambient episodes is like bathroom. So it's planning that into it. Like, see, the last one I did, was the last one I did the Stowe Lake one? They had a bathroom. Like, I don't think I had to go to the bathroom during it. This might be TMI, but like, I went right before I started recording, and then I don't think I had to go again until I was done. But there was like a concession place that I could go to because that can be a big issue. Like, and especially if the recording's flowing, like it's like, oh boy, I gotta go, and I can't go. So I hope that answers that. Sarah asks, am I still looking after Sweetie? No, that was just till Wednesday. That ended on Wednesday. Miss her though. Ko's here. She's snoring very loudly. Can you hear it? Yeah, Crazy Beans, you can ask any more questions like that. That's fine. I'm happy to answer those. Hey, Jessaroo. Okay, so let me read this question I got by email, and I'll see if I can answer it because I know I won't be able to answer it by email. Okay. When you're recording, who do you imagine you're speaking to? And does it vary with the stories? That's a good question. Like, so Teresa asks, when I'm recording, who do I imagine I'm speaking to? And does it change? And I would say, that's a tough question. I would say if you're making a podcast, it is very important to try to think of yourself as speaking to one person, because podcasts are consumed usually individually in someone's earbuds, whether it's Sleep With Me or any other show. I don't know. I don't tend to personify it so much as imagine a person. So it's not like I'm like imagining a specific person. It's very much like the girl in the theme park, actually, is more of like a situational person, which is like someone that can't sleep and is in dire straits. They've been tossing and turning. And also I always imagine that I'm there to comfort them and hopefully they'll fall asleep. But I always remember that there's a percentage of people that listen to the show that are never going to fall asleep. So I keep that in mind always, is like, I'm going to be there with them till the end. And hopefully they fall asleep like you're reading a kid a book and you don't even notice. And then you look over and they're asleep. It changes when I don't remember that. And also when we'll get into the fictional aspect of that, I'll try to real quick. Um, like if I don't remember it, like maybe I'm feeling like stressed or something, or like stressed about the show. Like sometimes my stress about the podcast can spill over to the podcast and get in the way. So if I'm like stressed about the podcast in some strange way, like about the future, what I like I can think, like I can try to be thinking like about everyone that's listening to the podcast. Or if someone sends me like a particularly harsh comment, like right before I sit down to record, which happens, like, and I'll be like, Drew, don't check anything. Yeah, you're going to record in 30 minutes. Don't go online, or don't, oh, you just got that email. Don't open up that email till we're done. Because that can just cause me to get it too much in my head. So when I sit down and remember that it's someone that's just there, like it's like that it's, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I think of it in like a very, um, I don't know, not a generalized way, but more in like an essence of the emotional person that's there instead of a physical person. Like that there's I don't know if that makes any sense. The being of the person that's actually there. Um, do you resist? Okay, does it vary with stories? It does vary with the narrative voice, for fiction, and because then I'm like descending, I'm trying to become the fictional character who's telling the story and trying to be in their world. So like whoever's narrating, if anybody wants to interrupt me with questions about this, that's fine, like too. Um, but so then I'm like in a different place than the intros. Like the intros I might be directing at that person, but then ideally, like when I'm doing the story portion of any show, even The Good Place, it'd be like I'm immersed in my notes in the experience of being the viewer of The Good Place and this deep, deep consumption of The Good Place, and almost like I don't know, like I try to get to a place. It's tough to put into words, but I'm become, like I always use the word becoming. Not even know if that makes any sense, but it's not like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but like I have to be really present, but not present in the actual, not only present in the moment, but in the fictional moment as well. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of what it is. Do I resist the urge to tell the story for a certain listener type of listener? Yes, I do. That's like one of the hard parts about the show. Like I get so much feedback, and not like both good and bad and nasty, and a ton of super praise, and get everything across the spectrum every single day. And for me, I have to find a way to digest some of that. And it's like an always evolving thing. So I say, okay. Is it like, I guess I tend to like just put it in the percolator and say, oh, okay, do I have to make some changes here? Is this a theme that's recurring in other feedback I'm getting? I mean, that usually helps, like, because I'm lucky that the show does get a lot of feedback, and we have a lot of listeners, like, that I can pick out themes of things. And then I can say to myself, okay, Drew, let's sit down and have a little chat. The two of us, I mean, this really happens, and say, okay, what do you think about this? We've got this note. I talk about this a lot on the episode that came out on Patreon tonight, actually, about the narrative voice of the theme park episodes. Yeah, Jess Rue, it does. Intuition's kind of part of it too, is like, I have to trust that I've been making the podcast for, like, I have to find the place between being stubborn and being open, and the urge to want to please. And I mean, I guess I do have a confident part of me that has been making Sleep With Me so long. And I guess a part of me that knows the listener enough to say, okay, the majority of listeners are willing to catch me when I fall. And that's hard to believe sometimes, but I found it to be true. And I'm just a human being, and I make mistakes all the time, and I have in the past. And even in the podcast and the making of the podcast, like the podcast can't ever be perfect. And it can't please everybody. So it's hard. The hardest ones are like when you get people, when it's hard to tell if it's someone that it's like someone that's being really mean and they're a super fan of the show. Those are hard to unpack. Like it's one thing when people are really mean, I say, okay, that was just them lashing out at me today. But when it's people that are like pretty mean and they're like a regular listener or someone I've heard from or something, those could take, like, I guess I've just learned to be like, okay, like, whew, like that, like, and just to not look at it at certain times of the day. But so, okay, to answer Teresa's question though, in the end, I have to make the best episode I can. And part of what makes Sleep With Me work is that I have to be present in the moment of making the show. And so when I sit down to record, I have to leave my critic behind and my like judge and my perfectionist part of me that wants to be like my ego, my negative ego and my positive ego, I guess. Like, let me see, my phone just buzzed. So I don't know if somebody's asking a question on. And everyone else's critic aside. So I think like when people talk about carving out a sacred place or whatever to create stuff, like I don't necessarily want to say that the climbing closet is that for me, but it has to be a place where I'm insulated in that moment. Like when I'm not recording, maybe I could process people's criticism, and it's not ironclad, lead-lined closet. So it does creep in there. Like I said, like I think it was this week, maybe a couple of days ago, I knew, I could tell by the person's subject line that it was going to be mean, and it was going to be mean with a grain of truth, like whatever their subject line said. And I was literally ready to record. And I said, Drew, don't open that, man. Like, don't open that email. Like, you could tell, like, you could smell the email through the phone. And I still read it. And I was able to be like, that one, I mean, maybe just because I have experience, I said, okay, like, let's go. Okay, where are we? And this was Nuns in Space. So it's like, okay, where's Stan? Okay, where are we? What are we seeing? So I think there is, to answer your question, Teresa, the urge is there to tailor the story for a certain type of listener. But I think, like I've learned too, you can't please everybody. I mean, I get reminded of that every day. And even, I guess I talked about this on this episode that came out tonight too, is like the episodes that people really like, other people will send me an email about. Like, so if I get like 10 emails that people are like, this is my favorite episode ever, I'll get 2 emails of people like, don't ever make another episode like that. Or like maybe even one person like, I'm never going to listen to the show again. Or, oh, your podcast is over, man. Like, and the styles of shows, like the On Location ones, Star Trek, what else? I mean, those are 2 examples that have really high super fans, and then not an equal size audience of people that will not listen to those. And like it's my job to make the podcast, to put you to sleep and to keep it going. And so I take that responsibility pretty seriously. And so I just have to make my best judgment with that, but not when I'm recording. So it's like, okay. And it's also like I guess with the podcast is such a moving train, that helps with it too. It's like, well, I don't have I don't have so much time to get like, you know, the word wallow, like people say wallow in criticism or something. But like when you think of wallow, it's kind of like when you are in mud and you lose your shoes in mud. Like the podcast is moving at such a fast pace for me as a creator that I don't have any time to wallow, because I got to keep moving. Like, and like, it's like, okay, I might lose my shoes here because that person hated that episode, or they don't like me, or whatever. But I got to keep moving because I have to keep, my responsibility is keeping the podcast moving. And actually, that's like the deadlines of the podcast and the nature of creating 2 episodes a week or in the past 3 episodes a week is that it really does, I guess, insulate me from the, like, I guess like sports people, especially baseball, they say never get too, don't get too high, don't get too low. You got to stay in the middle. And that's the same thing with Sleep With Me. It's like, and never like take the praise too deeply to heart. And I never take the I mean, I'm talking about the harsh stuff just because it's been a harsh couple weeks. Like, I never take the harsh stuff too hard, because not because it's like right or wrong or about shame and goodness or, oh, this is more important than this. It's like, I don't have the, luckily I have to focus on the next task at hand. Like, and it's like, okay, I got to keep the show going. So I get to move on from it. Like, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I do respond. Like, I mean, the podcast has moved past the point where I can keep up with everything, all of the contact stuff, but I'm still a one-man show. I mean, at some point, hopefully I'll be able to get some help and hire some help. But like, so I'm still the one responding to everything when I can. And I think that's good too, is like, okay, how do I want to respond to this? Or, oh, did this feel harsh? And now I'm reading it when I'm going to respond and it's not harsh. But Teresa, from the creation standpoint, it's like, I think having deadlines and getting it done is like, it can insulate you from for me, from the overthinking part. I don't know if you were asking about overthinking, but it's like, it can insulate you from like, oh, I guess like maybe read the book War of Art. Like that's what I'd recommend. Maybe I don't know if I ever suggested that, but the War of Art, because it's like, maybe that's like a resistance, like trying to get in the way of the work of getting the art done. Sarah, I do miss my day job. Actually, I volunteer at my day job, so we're off. Right, I'm off right now, but I've been teaching a class there. So, but yeah, I miss my day job. But I don't know. I mean, it's definitely made a big difference on the quality of my life, and the quality of the podcast. Like, and just the synchronicity of things, that way things have been happening. So I miss it, but, and I mean, I definitely miss like the security blanket feeling, but at this point it would be like an illusion. It was even to like the last year there, it was creating, even though it was a security blanket and it was necessary, I needed the money and the benefits. Like, it was creating more like it was just creating stress. So it worked out that I left my job at the perfect right time. So I'm lucky, like, yeah, but I miss it, but I still volunteer there. So I get to go there. Only volunteering at one location though. So yeah, I miss it. Cool. Does anybody else have any more questions? Let me, just check if there's any patron posts here or Facebook. Okay, no comments on Patreon. What kind of things do I do for fun outside of the podcast? I hang out. Let's see. I went to see Han Solo this weekend, or Solo. That was pretty fun. I've been watching a lot of basketball. I'm going to start watching basketball. I'm going to work on the podcast and watch basketball as soon as this live stream's done. Let's see. What work do I have to do? I don't know. I got to do a lot of editing tonight. But yeah, like, yeah, I'm an SU fan, Crazy Pants, but it's kind of a stressful fandom to be in, as they tend to. But right now I'm going to watch Boston Cleveland. Is a Game 7 in the NBA Eastern Conference playoffs, and then tomorrow night's Game 7 of the Western Conference playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, I try to go to movies, hang out with my daughter. Um, and I'm trying to this season of Nuns in Space is based on The Artist Journey by Julie Cameron, and Stan's kind of going through that book as an artist to learn how to become an artist. Like an artist, it's complicated, and you'll see it in the episodes. But so my goal is like, as the season's about to kick off, that I would kind of try to practice. I've been practicing some things in that book, but that includes like being a little bit more deliberate about taking time to do something fun once a week. They call it artist state in the book. Yeah. Any other questions? That was deep on the process. That was good. That was like an AMA. So that's check out Backblaze. Please check out Backblaze. If you don't have a backup of your computer running, especially your personal photos, please check out Backblaze, because I mean I'm literally just having that stuff in the cloud. My current jam, I don't even know. I haven't I listen to so many podcasts that like I'm on I've been the music I've been listening to the most is like the Beauty and the Beast motion picture soundtrack, because that's what my daughter's into, and I actually kind of like it. I'm not embarrassed to say that. So like that, I literally have Hermione. I mean, the dude that plays the casting in that movie was really good. Plus, I watched Legion, which the Beast is on, Dan Stevens. But then, I can't think of the actor's name that plays Gaston. But the casting, and then Josh Gad's in that. So like, look, anytime Josh Gad's on an album, it's gonna make you laugh. And then Gaston, I can't remember his name. He's really funny. So yeah, it's what I've been listening to lately. The problem is like I like to get my pop music from Spotify, but they don't either like the Hot 50 or World 50, but they don't they don't like all of those are like the straight tracks. So it's like I can't put it on when my daughter's in the car because it's like I'm like, whoa boy. So like and I can't listen to pop music when I'm like writing or working on the podcast. And then a lot of it's just consumed. Like, I mean, I've been listening to Orbiting Human Circus of the Air a lot, like, because the Super Deluxe season of that just came out. So you should listen to that. It's amazing. And then Alice Isn't Dead. I've been listening to a lot of that. And Chuck Tingle's podcast. Is anybody a Chuck Tingle fan out there? Because it will be soon. If you're like, that's for grown-ups only. But yeah, I've been listening. Those are the three podcasts I've been consuming en masse lately. Yeah, Alice Isn't Dead and Orbiting Human Circus of the Air. Like, Orbiting Human Circus of the Air is kind of like all ages, all times of the day. Alice Isn't Dead is like listening to an amazing movie, and then Chuck's podcast is like good, just like it's hilarious, and it's just I don't know, it's just such a and I'm not even talking about the right, like just so much. I don't know, because I just read one story over and over again recently. Some of the writing and just the just so witty, man, so witty, like 10 times more witty. I mean, sometimes just so witty, man. Holy cow. All right, that's it. If nobody has any other questions, I'm going to run. And thank you for coming by. Please set up your RSS feed if you haven't set it up already. All of the articles are in this Patreon post. I'll put them in the YouTube video. If you don't have a backup for your computer, please think about using our sponsor, Backblaze. because it's going to save you. Like if you have anything on your computer, or your parents, I mean, that's what, like, or your aunts and uncles, like, I think it's for, I think I don't know the price off the top of my head, but I want to say it's like $5 a month, and it's like literally doesn't use any processing power. It just do it. All right, everybody, thanks so much, and on with the show. Oh, let me take one more sip of this and check the list here. Is there anything else? Forgot. No. All right. Thanks, everybody.